We're ranking the 9 major TV brands from absolute worst to best, and breaking down exactly why each earned its spot. From notorious budget traps that seem like bargains until they break, to hidden gems and tech giants battling for picture perfection, this countdown will expose which screens truly stand the test of time and which are destined for the landfill. Reliability, picture quality, software, and long-term value all are on trial here. Some results might surprise you, especially if you've ever been tempted by that flashing sale price. Let's kick things off at the very bottom with the brands that define disposable, starting at number 9. Number 9. RCA, Insignia, and the parade of store brands. These are the TVs built for the landfill, not your living room. The price tags scream bargain. But under the hood, it's a different story. Recycled panels, bargain bin boards, and a failure spike right after the warranty expires. Buy one for a dorm or a guest room and you'll get a few months of Netflix before the backlight flickers out or the software freezes for good. Repair shops call them unfixable. Parts are scarce, and fixing a dead mainboard usually costs as much as buying a new set. Every year, nearly 1.8 million of these TVs end up as e-waste in the US alone. Bottom line, if the price looks too good to be true, you're just buying yourself a headache and a future trip to the recycling center. 8th place, Phillips. Here is where brand nostalgia collides headfirst with modern reality. Phillips used to mean European engineering and a picture that looked better than your neighbor's Sony. But since 2013, most Philips TVs on store shelves aren't made by Philips at all. They're built by whoever wins the licensing contract that year. In Europe, that's TP Vision. In North America, it's Skyworth, or, not so long ago, Funai. The result? Total roulette on hardware and software. You might get a decent panel, or you might get a set with half the brightness and motion blur that makes live sports look like a watercolor painting. Repair shops report double the failure rate versus premium brands, especially on models built after the licensing shift. Firmware updates are a gamble too. Some models never see one, others break streaming apps overnight. Bottom line, buying Philips for the name is playing the nostalgia lottery. The badge looks familiar, but the TV inside is anyone's guess. Number 7. Vizio. Here's a brand that once ruled the bargain bin with pride. In the 2010s, Vizio was the go-to for anyone who wanted a big screen without a big price tag. Their panels delivered punchy contrast and surprisingly crisp images for the money, enough to make you wonder why anyone would pay more. But the honeymoon didn't last. The hardware stayed strong, but the brain behind it, the software, started to fall apart. In 2017, Vizio got caught red-handed by the FTC for sneaking spyware into their TVs, quietly tracking what you watched and selling the data to advertisers. The fallout was brutal, a 40% drop in consumer trust and a wave of rushed firmware updates that made things worse instead of better. Owners complained about SmartCast menus freezing, apps crashing mid-movie, and updates that broke features overnight. Some models lost streaming support in less than 3 years. The picture still looks good, but the experience? Frustrating at best. Bottom line, Vizio is proof that great hardware can't save a TV if the software is a mess. If you find a Vizio you like, test the interface before you buy, because the panel might shine, but the brain could let you down. Number 6. TCL. The poster child for China's TV revolution, TCL shot up the charts by promising QLED color and big screen spectacle at prices that made Samsung sweat. Walk into any warehouse club and you'll see TCL boxes stacked to the ceiling, 50-inch, 65, even 75 inches, all boasting quantum dots and ultra-bright panels for half the money of the big names. Here's the catch. Buying a TCL is like spinning a roulette wheel. Some models, especially the 6 series, deliver shockingly good brightness and gaming performance, with input lag so low that esports players have taken notice. But not every TCL is a winner. Holiday rushes and big box exclusives often skip key quality checks. Factory insiders admit that panel aging tests get cut short when shipments need to hit the truck. The result? One unit has perfect uniformity, while the next might show corner shadows or uneven backlighting right out of the box. User forums are full of stories about two TVs with the same model number, bought the same week, looking totally different side by side. On the upside, TCL's mid-tier QLEDs can match Samsung's color punch for less, if you get a good one. For gamers, the 120Hz refresh rates and fast response times are real, not just marketing fluff. But if you're chasing reliability, you need to do your homework. Bottom line, TCL offers a shot at premium performance on a budget, but you're always playing the panel lottery. Pick the right series, check reviews, and be ready to exchange if your set draws the short straw. Number 5. Hisense, the brand that turned up the brightness, literally. Hisense has been on a tear lately, grabbing headlines with mini LED technology that puts showroom spotlights to shame. Their U8 series, for example, cranks out HDR highlights that can hit over 1,800 nits, outshining most mid-tier competitors and even making some high-end sets look dim by comparison. It's the kind of punch that makes sports and blockbuster movies leap off the screen, especially in bright living rooms where lesser panels get washed out. But here's the catch. Hisense is still playing quality control roulette. Ask around and you'll hear the same story. Two people buy the same model. One gets a stunner, the other gets a dud with color drift or uneven backlighting. That's not just bad luck, it's the byproduct of a company scaling up too fast, with factory lines in China and Mexico racing to fill big box orders. Even owner reviews sound like a coin flip. "My U8QG is flawless," says one. "Mine has audio glitches and a weird green tint," says another. The panel lottery is alive and well. On the upside, Hisense's software is finally catching up. Google TV runs smoother than their old VIDAA system, and updates land more reliably than a few years back. Motion handling still trails TCL and Samsung. Fast-moving scenes can blur, and upscaling isn't as crisp as the big names. But the value equation is hard to ignore. For the price, you get mini LED hardware that can rival TVs twice as expensive, as long as you're willing to roll the dice on quality control. Hisense is what TCL was a few years ago: bold, bright, and unpredictable. If you want sheer HDR firepower and don't mind swapping sets if you get a lemon, Hisense is the mid-tier wildcard that's shaking up the market. Number 4. Panasonic. Here's the brand that cinephiles whisper about but most American shoppers never see on the shelf. Panasonic quietly pulled out of the US high-end TV market back in 2014, leaving the field to the likes of Samsung and LG. But across Europe and Japan, Panasonic never stopped chasing perfection. Their OLED and flagship LED models are tuned with a level of color accuracy that borders on obsessive. Factory calibration scores routinely land within a hair of professional reference monitors. For film lovers, that means you're seeing movies the way the director intended. Skin tones are natural, shadows reveal every detail, and motion glides across the screen without the soap opera effect or jitter that plagues lesser brands. Sports fans and gamers notice too. Panasonic's motion processing handles fast action with a smoothness that keeps up with even the most frantic Premier League match. Professional reviewers call Panasonic's flagship sets calibration out of the box. No need to fiddle with settings or hire an expert. But here's the catch. Unless you live in Europe or Asia, getting your hands on one is tough. US support is spotty at best, and importing means giving up easy warranty service. That limited availability is the only thing keeping Panasonic out of the top 3. Bottom line, if you can find one and don't need local support, Panasonic delivers a cinematic experience that rivals anything from the industry titans. For everyone else, it's the hidden gem you wish you could buy at your local store. Coming to the top 3, Samsung is the juggernaut that defines what most people expect from a modern TV. Walk into any big box store in America, and odds are the first glowing wall of screens belongs to Samsung. Statistically, it is the most owned TV brand in US homes from 2023 through 2025. The secret sauce? QLED panels that crank out brightness levels most brands cannot touch, making HDR pop even in daylight-soaked living rooms. Vivid color, razor-sharp detail, and a picture that refuses to wash out. Samsung's Quantum Dot Tech is engineered for mass appeal. For gamers, the numbers do not lie. Input lag regularly clocks in under 10 milliseconds, and high refresh rates make fast action buttery smooth. Streaming is a breeze too. Tizen OS is one of the fastest, cleanest smart TV platforms on the market. Apps open instantly, navigation is intuitive, and everything feels snappy, whether you are browsing Netflix or launching your console. But there is a trade-off. Even on premium models, Samsung pushes ads and sponsored content in the interface. You are paying top dollar, yet still get banners for streaming services and suggested shows cluttering the menus. Some owners find it tolerable, others call it a deal breaker. And while QLED delivers jaw-dropping brightness, it cannot quite reach the perfect inky blacks of OLED. Dark scenes still glow a touch gray, unless you spring for Samsung's QD OLED flagship. Price-wise, Samsung sits at the top end of the mainstream. Expect to pay a premium for the brand, but you are buying years of research, consistent updates, and a product built to last. Bottom line, if you want a TV that is bright enough for any room, fast enough for any game, and easy enough for anyone to use, Samsung is the safest bet in the mainstream market. You get the features, the reliability, and the peace of mind. Just be ready to live with a few ads on your home screen. In second place, LG stands as the undisputed king of OLED, delivering picture quality that movie lovers dream about. The magic starts with those self-emissive pixels. Each one turns completely off for true infinite black. No blooming, no gray haze. Just perfect contrast, frame by frame. That's the secret behind why LG's C-Series and G-Series have swept up Best TV awards year after year. HDR scenes leap off the screen, colors stay rich and accurate even in the darkest corners, and every shadow in a midnight chase looks exactly as the director intended. LG's panels are so precise that professional reviewers routinely use them as reference monitors for color grading. But there's a catch, and it's one you can't ignore. OLED burn-in. The ghost of static images that refuse to leave your screen still hangs over every LG set. For most viewers, it's not a deal-breaker. Artings ran their C2 and G3 models for thousands of hours with mixed content, and visible burn-in just didn't appear. But crank the brightness, leave a news ticker or gaming HUD up for hours every day, and you're rolling the dice. LG's built-in defenses, pixel refresh, logo dimming, and subtle screen shifts work overtime to keep the risk low. And the new tandem OLED panels in the G5 series double down on longevity. Still, if you're planning to use your TV for digital signage or marathon gaming sessions with static overlays, this is the one Achilles' heel you need to watch. For everyone else, LG's WebOS is a breath of fresh air. Responsive, easy to navigate, and packed with regular updates that actually improve the experience. App support is broad and fast, with new streaming services landing quickly and system updates rolling out for years after purchase. It's a platform built for the long haul, not just the launch day. LG's OLEDs have become the gold standard for home cinema. And for good reason. You get a window into the filmmaker's world with near-perfect color and contrast that makes every movie night feel special. The only thing holding LG back from the top spot is that lingering burn-in risk and a picture processor that's just a hair behind the leader. For pure cinematic bliss, LG OLEDs are as good as it gets. Just make sure you treat them right. And finally, in first place, Sony. Here is the gold standard, the brand that turns television into an art form. Sony's secret weapon is the cognitive processor XR, a chip that doesn't just boost numbers on a spec sheet, it's engineered to see the world the way your brain does. Instead of chasing raw brightness or cranking up color just for showroom sizzle, Sony's processor analyzes every frame, balancing contrast, color, and clarity to match how humans actually perceive reality. That's why skin tones look natural, shadows stay detailed, and highlights pop without ever veering into cartoon territory. Professional reviewers call it the closest thing to a window into the real world, and they're not exaggerating. Out of the box, Sony TVs arrive with factory calibration so precise that even seasoned calibrators admit there's little left to tweak. Whether it's the flagship A95 LQD-OLED, which swept the 2025 Value Electronics Shootout as Best Overall TV, or the more accessible Bravia models, Sony delivers reference-level accuracy that holds up year after year. It's not just about color science, it's about consistency. Industry repair data and service surveys consistently put Sony at the top for reliability, with the lowest failure rates among major brands, often less than half the service call volume of the competition. Owners routinely report sets running flawlessly for a decade or more, a testament to Sony's uncompromising build quality and tight quality control at every price tier. Of course, perfection comes at a price. Sony's TVs command a premium, sometimes hundreds more than a comparable LG or Samsung. But you're not just paying for a badge, you're investing in a product that's been engineered, tested, and tuned to deliver lifelike realism with every scene. There are no hidden trade-offs, no glaring weaknesses. Sony doesn't just make TVs, they make visual instruments. If you want the most faithful picture, the most dependable hardware, and the peace of mind that your investment will last, Sony is the only name at the top. For those who demand the best, this is where the search ends. From the throwaway store brands at the bottom to Sony's processing perfection at the top, our journey through these 9 TV brands reveals a clear divide. You get what you pay for, both in performance and reliability. The most shocking entries weren't just the ultra-cheap TVs that fail within 2 years, but the big names, like Phillips and Vizio, that now struggle with inconsistent quality or software woes. Across all tiers, one pattern stands out. Hardware alone isn't enough. Consistency, software, and long-term support separate the best from the rest. Brands like TCL and Hisense show how fast mid-tier options are improving, but they're still a gamble compared to the refinement of LG, Samsung, and Sony. Our ranking was based on real-world durability, picture quality, and user experience, not just specs or nostalgia. The real takeaway? In the world of TVs, the price tag often predicts the experience. Whether you want a set that lasts a decade or just something for the guest room, knowing these differences means you can buy smarter and avoid the landfill trap.